Many say size matters, but when it comes down to business, I'm here to tell you, it's all about how you position yourself. And let me tell you why this is great news for you. Here's why. Let's just say you're the David of your industry going against Goliath. Let's just say you're a small company, you're a small guy, you got a smaller operation, and these people are massive. They're sitting on billions of dollars of assets, and you don't have that type of assets. So how do you compete against them, right? Because a lot of times I'll talk to entrepreneurs and they'll say, you know what, Patrick? You know, I have a printing company and I want to do business cards, and I also want to do magazines, and I also want to do books, and I also want to do, brochures, and I also want to do flip charts, and I also want to do this, and I also want to do banners, and I want to do everything because I want to be able to there's these companies that do business cards and they make a lot of money. What if I do all of it, right? Or a lot of time people will say similar to financial services. I want to do real estate, I want to do loans, I want to do escrow, I want to do processing, I want to do underwriting, I want to do title, I want to do it all, because if I do it all, I can be so big. That logically may make sense, but it's the dumbest way for someone to position themselves. And I'll tell you and validate on a couple stories why. I got two companies here to give you an example of. One, we have Heinz. The other one here, we have Haloid. I'll start off with Haloid. Some of you may say, who is Haloid? I don't even know who Haloid is. Who is Haloid? Let me tell you who Haloid is. Haloid is actually the first company ever to come out with personal computers. Now, some of you guys are watching and say, come on, Patrick. Wasn't it IBM? IBM came out with those big computers. But Haloid is the first one that came out with these smaller computers. This story is fascinating. They came out with these smaller computers. Okay? They were the first ones to come out with mouse. Steve Jobs was the first one to launch mouse to the world, but they were the first ones that came out with mouse. They were the first ones that came out with a small keyboard. It was literally this big. If you go type in right now online, Xerox Alto, and the reason why it's called Xerox Alto, because originally it was called Xerox Palo Alto. They dropped the Palo, it's called Xerox Alto. It came out in 1973. Stay with me here in the numbers. When it came out in 1973, they only produced 2,000 of them. 1,000 for their employees, 500 for universities, and 500 they kept. They never marketed this product, never. Until one day, a guy who lives in Palo Alto calls them and says, hey, I hear you guys got this machine that I want to see. And I'm getting ready to start a company, and I'm willing to give you this company of mine. I'll give you 100,000 shares for $1 million. I just want you to allow me to see this machine. And this guy walks into Haloid's entire place in 1978, 1979-ish, and he walks in. And the guy's looking and says, this is a mouse? How come you're not selling this to the public? Do you realize? And he gets antsy, he can't control himself. It's like jumping all over the place. They see this guy was so excited. He couldn't even hold himself together. And he says, do you guys realize how powerful? How many have you made of this? Only 2,000. Oh my gosh. 3 days he's taking notes from morning till night. He's just taking notes, taking notes. He keeps coming back, keeps taking notes, taking notes, taking notes, taking notes. You know who that guy is? Boom! Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs goes to this place, sees a big, dumb company who does not realize what this computer could be. The PC personal computer, if they sold it to the public, they didn't see the vision. They fully didn't see the vision. So look what happens to them. Apple takes over, comes out, and one day, Steve Jobs launches this mouse, and everybody says, this guy's such a visionary. He got the mouse from a Haloid Alto product, Xerox Alto product that he saw, but he launched it to the public. 2,000 computers, 1,000 for employees, 500 for universities, 500 they kept. Apple gave it to the world. And Apple today is worth $400 billion. Now watch what happens here. Watch what happens here. Few years later, 1973, they launch it. 8 years later, Haloid decides we should probably consider launching this computer, and they do in 1981. But you know for how much? For $100,000. How many people you think can afford a $100,000 computer? In 1981, think about how much $100,000 is today. $100,000 in today's dollars, like $400,000 or $500,000. We're talking $100,000 to buy a piece of computer in 1981. So guess what happens? It flops. The best thing Haloid did, at that moment they realized they're way behind the 8 ball. Way behind the 8 ball. Apple's taking a lead on everybody. Then these other companies are coming up, the Compaq, the Atari, to all these other companies are coming up, and Haloid's in the back. Now, Haloid has a machine that they make that's called Xerox. And so Xerox becomes the #1 copy machine. On computers, Haloid is ranked number 10. So they said, yes, we can go compete versus computers, but you know what? Why don't we reposition ourselves? Because it's about positioning, not size. Haloid dropped their entire computer company. They lost $84 million when they just wrote it off. You know what they did? They said, let's just position ourselves with copy machine. We're not computer companies. We completely missed out here. Let's go over here. A big dumb company made a mistake. They were honest about the fact that they made a mistake. They repositioned and saved themselves. And Xerox today, still, it is a Fortune 500 company, $24.8 billion company today. They dominate the copy machine marketplace. They dominate the copy machine marketplace because they repositioned. Let me come on this side. Heinz. Many years ago, Heinz was selling pickles. They still do today. And they were doing baby food. And they were so focused on baby food, and they were so focused on pickles, but they were always ranked top 5 in pickles, and they were ranked top 5 in baby food. It was always Gerber, Vlasic. They just couldn't beat them. You know, when you think about pickles, you think about Vlasic. When you think about baby food, you think about Gerber. They just couldn't beat those guys. So it's like, man, let's go against size. These guys are bigger. I'm getting tired. I'm David trying to go against Goliath, who's selling all these pickles, and they're selling all this. I can't, I'm tired. How do I go against these big guys? They're killing me. What are we #1 in? We are #1 in ketchup. What the hell are we thinking about? Why don't we just say, forget about this. Let's put 5% of our time and resources into this. Let's put 95% of our time into ketchup. And so they repositioned themselves and went into ketchup. Today when I think about Heinz, and I tell you, Heinz, what do you think about? Do you think about Heinz pickles? Come on. You think about Heinz baby food? I mean, you know, we don't even know Heinz has baby food, right? You think about one thing. You think about ketchup. When I tell you Xerox today, do you even think about Haloid? Did you even know that Haloid started the first personal computer? Did you even know that Haloid came out with the first 2,000 PCs that they only use for themselves in university? Did you know? I didn't know that. People didn't know that. Now you study, say, oh my, they missed out, but they repositioned them. So now let's come back to you. Now it's all about you. Let's talk to you now. You're running a business. What are you selling? What are you trying to sell? Are you trying to sell anything and everything everybody's coming up with? I remember when I was running the business and I was selling insurance, and it was securities at that time. So I'm a Series 7, 66, 31, 26, life and health. I came from Morgan Stanley, so I started off with stocks, then I transitioned to mutual funds and money under management. Then it was variable universal life policies and VULs and all variable annuities. And then I saw everybody that was fighting for certain pieces of the pie. I want this, I want that, I want this. And then finally, I had to reposition myself. There was a guy in the Valley. They were doing mortgages, making $400,000 a month. Pat, you need to get into mortgages. I am this close of getting into mortgages. Then, oh, God, you got getting in real estate. I'm this close. Pat, we got to get into, I'm telling you, title reps are making $600,000 a year. All you got to do is drop off some donuts to these loan officers, man. It's so easy making $600,000 as a title. I said, nope, positioning. No one wants to touch life insurance. Nobody wants to touch life insurance. More business for us. No one. Everybody wants to sell variable universal life. Not for us. Everybody. Nope, this is our positioning. And we compete in this positioning. Today, we're #1 in specific product in the entire world. We're #1 in this one specific product. Why? Positioning. You cannot be everything to everybody. Come back to you. How many different products do you sell? Who are you trying to be? What is your main flagship product? Do you have a flagship product? What is your flagship product? What do you sell? What are you mainly marketing? What is it that you got going on? Are you positioning it right? Are you constantly trying to fight the big guy? Are you trying to position yourself to say, I'm going to go against the big guy? Are you saying, nope, I'm going to reposition myself to go after this market because no one's touching this? If you can take an hour or two, listen, New Year's right here. It's the first video of Valuetainment you're watching outside of probably Motivation Monday. New Year's right here. How are you going to reposition yourself in 17? How are you going to do it? Do you have a plan for it? What are you going to be? You want to be the big guy of this that's already around, there's 50 of them out there, and you want to compete with this guy? How are you going to reposition yourself? It's almost like saying you're going to go into politics. and you're campaigning, and everybody's campaigning around, let's pick something. Give me a subject on politics that some people campaign around. Let's just say economics. Let's just say pro-life, pro-choice. Let's just say you got military. Yeah, let's just say you got this. And it's like you're running for a campaign and you're saying, I'm going to build a wall. You know why you say that? It's positioning. No one's talking about that. And then all the politicians are saying what? The same old thing. And they lose. And they lose. Some people look at Valuetainment and say, oh, Pat, how come it's not all the motivation like some of these other channels all the time? You're actually doing how to. Man, we repositioned ourselves. We get a lot of heat. We get a lot of mail and hate mail. Pat, we think what you're doing is wrong. What am I doing wrong? You shouldn't give all this content out for free. You should sell it for a few $1,000s. I'm not doing that. Man, that's not fair, man. This is how we make a living. I'm losing people to Valuetainment. I don't care about that. You charge it for free. Yeah, but my business is getting people to buy my recordings on webinars, and I get them to pay $1,000. And if I get 1,000 people to pay for this, is how I make a living. I make a living by giving the content away, and I run a real business. And I want to help entrepreneurs around the world. This is our positioning. What's your positioning? By the way, we can go into sports, say the same thing. We can go into baseball, say the same thing. You can go into Hollywood, say the same thing. You can go into basketball, church, religion, business, bodybuilding, so many different things. As long as you reposition yourself properly, you have an edge. If you're trying to be everybody else, you are constantly going to be fighting against size. And eventually, you're comparing yourself to the wrong person. You can't compete against the size. You got to figure out a way to reposition yourself. And there's a way you could do it in your business. There's a way you could do it in your business, but you got to put some time into it and think about it, because we know we have. And you got to constantly adjust as well. Because some people may come back and say, well, what do you have to say about Apple? Apple went into computers and they repositioned themselves into phones because phones are small. Yes, because it's called, sometimes you got to call an audible. Here's how football works. Ready? Boom, 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 audible. You got to do the same. You got to do the same. Sometimes if Apple realized everything's going away from computers, we're going into tablets, what if we make a phone that's a tablet? And it's a smartphone, then they dominate. Then we have to change. Is it watch? I don't know if it's the watch. Is it Fitbit? Is it this? What is the next thing? You have to adapt. And this is why Apple could be the next BDC. There's a lot of BDCs out there. Anybody could be a BDC. Hallow is not the only BDC out there. There's a lot of BDCs out there, okay? You just need to figure out a way to reposition yourself. Anyways, I can go and talk about the subject for hours and have a lot of fun with it, but I'll leave it to what it's at right now without getting too deep into it. Hey, it's exciting times. It's 2017. Man, time flies. Just yesterday was Y2K, and everybody was trying to set aside pickle jars and food. And, Heinz was making a lot of money because you were, all these things you were setting aside, because all the banks, they don't know how to handle zero. And 17 years later, it's 2017. And more gray hair for me. And if you want to find out if you're aging, always look at this part of your hand. This part doesn't lie. We all look young here. You can tell your age right here. Time is flying, baby. Don't get casual. We only got limited time to make a big impact in the world, and hope you're part of it as we go out there and revolutionize this entire way of educating entrepreneurship around the world, which we are just getting started. Stay tuned for some crazy things I will be launching here pretty soon. Anyways, if you haven't subscribed to Valuetainment, please do so. And I don't really know what you're waiting for. We need your help to sub, and click the alert button as well so you get the updates every time these videos come out. And if you got any questions, any thoughts about today's video, comment on the bottom. I literally go through every single comment, still tilted. It's getting tougher, but I still read through every single comment. And I look forward to seeing your comments. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.